All right, welcome back to Onebar and Lupagus show. I'm Onebar with Lupagus and special guest Justin from the Purple Persuasion, the hottest damn Twitter account on Vikings land. Hit him up. We'll be talking about that, but we're going to be talking about latest news and nuggets, and we know Justin's got a ton of them. Justin, welcome to the show. Happy to have you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys having me on your show and appreciate the time.
Yeah, we were kind of just using your news dumps every week anyways. We said, let's get this guy on the show and have him tell it right to our face.
Yes, absolutely. And, usually, everyone would kind of be like, hey, tell us a little about you, where we can find you. I'm going to do it for you because that just always seems awkward. I mean, if you want to, you can, but let me pimp him quick.
Have at it.
Best Twitter channel out there. They just started. I want to say, I'm going to be way off here, but I just probably stumbled upon it probably a month ago, maybe 2 months. I don't know. Anyways, just circulating, pumping out any sort of Vikings news nuggets from ESPN, from any source, whatever, and they're on the ball. So follow them. TPP Skull on Twitter. Give them a follow. You won't regret it. It's fantastic.
Thank you. Yeah. Appreciate it.
It's constant. It's up to date. Just ejaculating news every single hour.
Well, that is
valid too. We don't put out crap. It's always verified, so you can trust our stuff.
Yes, it is good. It is good. And you're doing I believe you're doing a newsletter coming out pretty quick here. Yay, nay?
Yeah. First one's dropping tomorrow. So if you don't already, the link's in our bio. It's free, doesn't cost anything. So all you need is an email, enter it in, and tomorrow you'll get the first one for the week.
All right, I'll throw the link down in the description as well to go sign up for that. Before we get into the news and nuggets, when you come on shows like this, I mean, your Twitter account seems pretty unbiased. Like you're just kind of putting the news out there. But like when you come on a show, do you like show your hand? Like if you
we sometimes we tip our hat a little bit, but we try to keep it, throw everything out. We love discussion. We love all points of the spectrum. A lot of volatile stuff right now, especially with Kirk and things. So we just enjoy the discussion. We like to hear both sides, but when we get on shows, we kind of tip our hat a little bit.
Well, I think it's fair to say, I mean, I've seen some of the stuff you put out there. I mean, I see other stuff, but there's a lot of JJ McCarthy positivity coming from you. Is he your boy? I feel like he's your boy.
Yeah, he's the boy. He's, a realistic boy, that we can get. I'm a big fan of Daniels, but I don't think any of those top three teams are trading their picks. So it's going to go 1, 2, 3. Maybe Daniels is 2, maybe he's 3, and then May's 2, and vice versa. So I think JJ McCarthy is definitely going to be a top 10. He is not sitting and coming to 11. If they do think that that's going to happen, he's going to get jumped by the Broncos, Raiders, one of those teams. But yeah, I like him. I think he's going to fit perfectly with KLC.
Well, JJ McCarthy quarterback buzz was pretty much the top one on the list. I mean, I'm sure you've been pumping out like Lupagus said, but like JJ McCarthy, I mean, is the love, is it warranted?
I think it's warranted. Absolutely warranted. I think, depending on where you're getting your news from and whatnot, but I think he had a pretty good combine yesterday. I was watching it, throughout some videos of him throwing. He did miss a couple, but you have to understand, these aren't receivers he's used to. Their level of skills of those receivers are totally different. So I wouldn't read too much into that. I think his pro day coming up will be a lot more telling because, he's got chemistry with those receivers. But I think he's a perfect system quarterback. He is mobile when needed. He's super clutch on third downs. We put out a stat of that a few weeks ago. And I just think he's a perfect fit for what KLC wants to run and the system that he has.
Well, another little Jeremy Fowler this morning putting out Baker Mayfield. Like it could be a backup plan if Kirk doesn't re-sign. What thoughts on old Baker?
Oh, little Baker, huh? I don't know. I think it's a long shot. I think if you're moving on from Kirk and kind of replacing him with Baker, I think Baker's going to want a longer term deal. I think 3, maybe even 4 years, finally get that big second contract that he deserves. I think he's, not the right fit for every team, but I think he did a lot last year with, the Bucs weren't the greatest team, so I think he got him pretty far. And I think that was pretty unexpected. So I think he's going to get paid. I'd be pretty surprised if he ends up with the Vikings, but like any other free agent quarterback in a team like the Vikings looking to, that needs a quarterback. And I do think they probably want to go a bridge route, maybe for a year or at least a few games. So I would expect the Vikings to sign some sort of veteran. I just don't know if they're going to put like 30, 35, maybe even 40 mil for Baker out there. So I think it's a long shot, but I wouldn't rule it out. So, this team can surprise us in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, I want to ask you this. There's been a lot of news, a lot of heat right now. Kirk Cousins to Atlanta. What's your take on that? Do you think that's actually going to happen, or he's coming back to Vikings?
I think it's going to happen. I put a little money on it this morning, so
Whoa!
What are the
we'll
odds?
see.
What are the odds? What are they at?
It's plus 190 right now. I got it in. I've gotten it a couple times. Like plus 300. It was like just like 5 days ago. But it's dropping pretty rapidly. I think it was Fields to Atlanta was like minus 450 like 48 hours ago, and it's down now to minus 270. Kirk kind of was started off at minus 200 on the books, and it's shifted, went up a little bit to like minus 270. I think about 2 days ago, right at the beginning of the week, and now it's down to back to minus 200 again. So still favorites. But I think initially there was a big wave of a lot of money coming in on Fields, I think about Wednesday or Thursday. And then, with yesterday, I think it dropped pretty rapidly, which is almost a 40% drop for Fields to Atlanta. And I think with the OC there, he's the McVay tree. I don't think Fields fits in Atlanta the way that they want to run and what the Zach Robinson wants to run there in Atlanta. So I really do think Kirk's the best fit there. I think it's Kirk or the Vikings. And if the Falcons go a different direction, I think Kirk probably will be, he might be crawling back for maybe a cheaper deal than people think, but I think it's a pretty good probability he's in Atlanta.
So when you're pumping out the news, I don't even, and you may or may not know the answer to this. When you're sitting there pumping out, like, can you get a feel for like ESPN is more like on the Kirk to Atlanta train, or CBS or whatever, this guy or that guy, or is it just pretty much all over the place?
It's pretty all over the place. We try to throw out everything from every different platform. ESPN's obviously a big one. And we got The Athletic is pretty good. CBS Sports. There was a lot of beat guys in Atlanta too. That was probably the biggest theme. One guy, he was like a sports director for like a local Atlanta channel there, who had a lot of connections and was at the combine talking to a lot of agents and coaches and things. And he was one of the most blunt ones that put out the, Arthur, the owner, he's like, I'm going all in on Kirk, do whatever it takes to get him, pay whatever it needs to be done. Atlanta's got a lot of money that they can spend too. And, if they can save some draft picks and on an unknown rookie and moving up or whatever, I think they could, sign Kirk, be healthy cap wise, and still get some other pieces and, get those, maybe even trade back and get a wide receiver to pair with London and stuff. So they have a lot of options. And I think that was probably the biggest tell of the week with that guy who said, Arthur's going to go all in, do whatever it takes. He was telling his scouts and his executive team.
I want to get your take on this. This just broke a little bit ago. It wasn't even on your site, so I'm sorry to bring this up, but maybe you did have it. I didn't see it, but Justin Fields.
I bet he did.
Jeremy Fowler
I may have seen it already.
Jeremy Fowler reporting Vikings interest in Justin Fields. Any chance? I mean, that can't happen, right? There's no chance.
No, that's absolutely not happening. But it's anything. It's a quarterback, and it's a quarterback needy team. The Vikings are, so we're going to be linked to almost every quarterback out there, probably of the tier 1-ish, maybe tier 2-ish. Kirk, Baker, and Fields are probably the top 3. Maybe Russell Wilson you could throw in there as well. But yeah, it's we're going to be linked to it. I think it's an absolute long shot, and I don't know what the odds were, but it was like plus 1,000. So I don't see us. I don't think he's a fit for what KOC wants. I think he's polar opposite of what KOC wants to run and things. But a good quarterback and a quarterback needy team like the Vikes, we're going to be linked to almost all of them.
You imagine we trade for Justin Fields and he comes here, just absolutely rips it up. Those poor Bears fans. Hilarious.
I know. I don't mind Fields. I think I think the Bears just didn't put enough pieces around him in the beginning. They had a lot of OC changes, coaching changes, and he's got more talent, I think, that could be tapped. And I think if he gets in the right system with the right, skill players around him, I think he could succeed pretty well. And that's why I think the Fields probably is a good fit for either the Steelers, even though they kind of seem to be doubling down on Pickett and Rudolph. But, maybe the Raiders, Luke Getsy, he was the OC for the Bears. I got a little bit of steam. Some people that I know around here that kind of have some tales with the Bears. He really likes Fields, and he didn't think the problem was the OC. It was the coaches kind of the head coach throwing too much at him and wanting to change too many things at once. So don't be surprised if the Raiders make a run here after they release Garoppolo here in the coming days.
Well, speaking of being released, Alexander Madison is gonzo. I don't know if it's official yet, but he's going to be gone. What are your thoughts on that? And did we ever see what they actually saved on him?
Yeah, it was $3.35 million cap wise. I think it was pretty shocking at first because nobody, even if people were looking on, over the cap or spot track or whatever, I think they were thinking like 600,000 savings. We had been plugged in that he was going to stay. What doesn't make sense to cut, somebody for only 600,000. But it looks like there was some guaranteed money that he hadn't had yet that was due on March 15th or March 13th. So I think that was a big savings that they got from him. I think visually and statistically last year, I think it was pretty obvious that he's not the running back one type guy. Best wishes for him in the future. But I think for $3.35 million cap savings, I think that's 100% worth it.
Absolutely. Once again, we got Justin from the Purple Persuasion. Get your butts over there. Go give them a sub. You must be almost at what? You're at like 3.4?
It's a little generous, but we're growing pretty rapidly. I think we're close to 25 or 2,600. I think we're picking up a lot per day. So appreciate everybody. We appreciate all of our followers growing rapidly, and we enjoy bringing you guys content and discussions.
No, it's awesome.
Onebar was talking your number after this video airs.
Yeah, after this week, you're going to be at 3.4.
Keep plugging us. That'd be great. But a lot of growth in 6 months, so we're real happy where we are right now. So thank you, everyone.
Yeah. No, it's fantastic. Let's see what are you seeing out there, Daniil Hunter? Anything?
Yeah, I think he's going to get over, well north of 20 million. I don't know if the Vikings are going to be able to pay him or not. I think, everybody says, oh, they can afford all three. Yes, they can afford all three. We all get that, but it causes a lot of downstream problems in future years. I think he's worth the money. He took that team-friendly deal a few years back. He's definitely underpaid for kind of the market, but I think he's going to go to the team who's going to offer him the biggest bucks, and I don't think that's going to be the Vikings, whether they keep Kirk or don't. I think he's the likely destinations we're seeing here. The Jacksonville Jaguars probably number one, but I wouldn't rule out some of these NFC North teams. The Lions pair next to Aiden Hutchinson could be pretty nasty, and they got a lot of money to work with, and even the Bears and what they got going on the D line, and that could be pretty scary. So I think he's going to get 23, 24, 25 million probably. I think the Vikings probably won't go past 20 million, but maybe they dip into their pockets a little bit if Kirk doesn't come back, but we'll see.
Speaking of dipping into pockets, Christian Wilkins, defensive tackle, Miami. It sounds like he might not be getting franchised now. Any heat about the Vikings liking him?
Yeah, I think I think that's a big news right there. I think we were planning on him being tagged, and I think most people out there were. So, it's still not too late. They still got some time to put that tag on him, but I wouldn't rule it out. Kwesi to date hasn't really paid for top free agents. He's tend to be more the tier 2 guys, some of the tier 3s, or even, people with upside with injury history, probably, possibly is kind of what he's kind of told us in free agency the last couple of years. But if he does make a splash, I would put him as one of the top ones. That was one of Flores' top picks when he started, and he works with him really well. So I think he's, I wouldn't rule that out here coming to Minnesota and putting a beefeater right on the D line here. That was exactly what we need. So I'd be real stoked about that. Real stoked.
Hell yes. Lupagus and I did a video on our thoughts as far as the GM and the coach's comments at the combine. What was your biggest takeaway, whether it was Jefferson, Kirk Cousins, whatever? I mean, just what was your takeaway from
there's a lot there actually from the beginning of the week to the end. I think what intrigued me the most, Kevin O'Connell, I think really loves Kirk. I think he really does want him back, but I think Kwesi's the one kind of saying, hey, we have a limit. We're not going past it. If he wants to take that, great, he can come back. But if not, we're not spending a penny more. So you got that vibe. Kevin O'Connell earlier in the week talked really highly of him, really doubled down on wanting Kirk back. But Kwesi kind of followed suit with that, but also kind of, made it known that Kirk's can shop around if he wants. We have a certain limit, and kind of he kept saying meet in the middle, meet in the middle, meet in the middle. So I really do think that's what Kwesi's going. He did kind of break character a little bit, which was interesting to me with kind of doubling down on Justin Jefferson trade rumors. I was kind of picking up steam earlier in the week or late last week, and he pretty much axed that. And I don't think JJ's getting traded at all. So I think it's rumors. It's fun discussion points. It's the off season. We're all looking for content to engage with. It was an absolute long shot, but I think he really axed that, which was intriguing because he did kind of break character with kind of the normal, robotic stuff that these GMs and head coaches talk about. But late last, or even yesterday, I thought it was that, I don't know if you guys caught the video at the combine of KOC talking. I thought that was extremely intriguing. His tone, his demeanor seemed to change. He didn't seem as confident, and even went as far as saying, I don't have the exact quote in front of me, but essentially saying that Kirk will become a free agent. So if he's going to be a free agent, he's not coming back. And it did seem like, he talked about tampering and kind of a gauge on Kirk's markets. I really do think that told a lot. And, it's not an unpopular opinion, but for me, it was within 5 minutes of that interview coming out, the Vikings social media team was all over it, trying to put their spin on it with, the positive aspect of what KOC said earlier in that, 2-3 minute interview. And they hadn't done much combine stuff all week. And I just thought that was it wasn't a coincidence in my opinion, but that's up for interpretation.
Yeah, it sounded like a eulogy when he was talking about it.
It did.
It sounded like he was gonzo.
Yeah.
I did a short video on it real quick, and Vikings fans were saying bad words to me because it made it sound. I mean, it sounded like he was gone, and that's what I said. And fans didn't like that. They didn't like that.
Most people said that. I think that was the popular take, that his tone changed from Tuesday to yesterday on Saturday. So that's everybody can glean what they want to take from it, but that's what I got, and I think the most of the fan base did too.
Well, I'm gonna talk to you now. Combine just wrapped up. I mean, pick 11, right? It's a quarterback or edge. No other way. You agree with that?
I think it's quarterback. I'm in the fan of, if you want one of those top 4 guys, I think the 3 are a long shot, like I said earlier. But if you want JJ McCarthy, I think you're going to have to move up. I really like them going all the way up to 5 for the Chargers, because the Broncos are real intrigued with him as well. And even the Raiders could double down on maybe a dark horse team that we're not, thinking about right now. The Chargers aren't going to be trading within the division with the Raiders or the Broncos. I think that's a nice spot that they could get to. If they don't go quarterback there, I think edge or defensive tackle, one of those top guys probably from either of those positions, and maybe a Penix Jr. I think he kind of fits what KOC wants. Maybe later in round 1, or right off the bat in round 2. I think are the scenarios, but we'll get some more clarity here in the next couple weeks.
Boom.
All right. Those are the biggest news and nuggets from the week. Hopefully this coming week we'll have some juicy ones. Before we let you go, Garrett Bradbury, what's your prediction? Is he gonna be our center next year?
Yeah, I think he probably will be. I can't remember the numbers off the top of my head of what his savings would be if they cut him. It was something decent, I think like $3 million or $2-3 million. But if they're looking to get one of those big wig guys to come in, and like Wilkins or something like that, or Xavier Howard was from Miami as well, was already supposedly to be released. I think if they need a couple million, they do, but we're already 30+ mil over the caps. I think they'll probably roll with Bradbury for at least another year.
Onebar's going to start crying.
Watch out the draft. There's a lot of good centers and guards at this one too.
So good. There's so good centers in there.
One last one I want to ask you, and this isn't really news related or anything, but do you have sources yet? Like, you're not big enough yet maybe to have your own sources? Do you have to go picture you like in a dark alley, like Robert Stack standing there by some garbage can dumpster, you find your sources.
Give me your Vikings.
Do you have
now
sources yet?
No, I don't. For the Vikings, no, I don't have. It's just shopping around, doing a lot of digging, verifying those sources. We don't put anything out that's not from a credible source. So what we put out, I always tag who it is. And most of the time, if I'm not getting overwhelmed with a lot of notifications, we do try to put out where we found it. A lot of it comes from, I listen to a lot of different things from a lot of different stations, listen to K-Fan a lot, and get a lot of scoops from there that people don't have the time to dig through. So that's kind of our bread and butter, is digging through a lot of stuff so people don't have to, and they can get it quickly. But I kind of got a little bit of a source of the Bears here a little bit. I got a buddy who knows a buddy who's one of the, he's in the scouting team. So I've got a little bit of plug there, but I try not to break too much because it's, I don't know. He sometimes some stuff he tells me it's kind of off the record. So if he lets me know it's on the record, then it'll be put out there. But I got a little steam from the Bears.
I mean, you're kind of becoming the Vikings Adam Schefter here. Just that's the track.
No pressure, man.
He's got like 8 phones. I don't know. I still got a life that I do other things with. I don't sit on the phone, and
you got to prioritize.
Nick does a lot of stuff too for us with finding and searching and listening. I know.
Well, it's fantastic. Hit up the Purple Persuasion. Give them guys a sub. Get them up to 3.4 by next week. I can smell it. Please. Justin, we appreciate you hopping on, man. This won't be the only time. If you come back, we'd love to have you.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much for having me, and give them a sub as well. You guys do great work. We really enjoy listening to you guys as well, and get them to 11K, guys. So if you haven't already, sub. So yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Boom.